This sode would not be possible without the support of our listeners, patrons, and sponsors. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the 3-Bit Gamer Show, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/3BG. And a huge thanks goes out to our boss-level patrons, Christopher and Patrick.
With Thanksgiving on the horizon, an exhausting week behind us, and a bunch of crap to get done in a short 3-day week, this episode's going to have some real tryptophan energy. So take a big yawn while we prepare you for a long holiday season with your family. Games to play with them, topic changers in case things get political, and of course, games as Thanksgiving foods.
This is Hanzo. Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show.
It's the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
This is Peterson.
And Dani Powers.
And we made it to past the intro.
Oh my gosh,
So,
barely.
Congratulations. Look, dude, it's not my fault I'm fixated on
So-
the most classic Thanksgiving film ever created.
We had posed the question in the pre-episode recording, what is a Thanksgiving movie? And JD can't stop talking about Thanksgiving.
Maybe we should just let's just table this and do it in a second. Kudos is our positivity segment where we give a shout out to something we love, and I guess I'm giving a shout out to Thanksgilling.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, let's see how it's described. It's a dark horror movie. Let's see, an American horror black comedy film, which doesn't really do it justice. It's a B film, clearly made by like film students. Mm-hmm. Without a doubt, like one of the worst movies you'll ever see in your life. It's only 70 minutes long, so it's not much of an investment of your time, and it's available on...
But is it a worthwhile investment of your time?
Well, it was created on a budget of $3,500, so you know it's a good one.
Oh my gosh.
You have to watch the trailer.
Yeah,
JD
we'll post
showed
the
us
trailer.
It's a mess.
Long story short, a haunted demon turkey from Pilgrim times has come back to torment 5 college students.
Yeah.
Of course.
He's very crass turkey. I don't know. I don't know.
Turkey could talk, though. That's what they would say.
He really
This
gets
is what
at
they
the
would be
id of what turkeys want to get out. But actually, Peterson, did you have a real kudos?
I do have a real... What, Thanksgiving isn't a real one?
I don't think so. Even I can't say that with a straight face. This movie is
But you're
god-awful.
going to watch it.
I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to watch it at home tonight. It's on Amazon. Everyone should watch it on
Sit in the
Thanksgiving.
hot tub and watch
with your
Thanksgiving.
family. Definitely get all the kids around. No, just kidding. Because spoiler alert, the very first shot of the film is a nipple. And it only goes downhill from there.
Yep. So, not with the kids. So, I had a real kudos. I was watching a show on Disney Plus, actually. It was kind of going through the catalog. And I love... searching for treasure shows. I love archaeology. I just think it's fascinating. And I came across this show called Lost Treasures of the Maya.
Sick.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It is so... The problem with treasure finding shows is that they never find really anything. Like I am.
Friendship.
What's that?
They find friendship.
They find friendship.
Yeah.
Good times and mosquito bites.
Yeah. Like I've watched every season of The Curse of Oak Island, and I love it.
Are you kidding me?
I love it.
You're watching
but they
that
just,
show?
Oh, I can't get enough. But they don't really ever find anything.
That's the whole point. There's
No,
nothing
they'll-
on Oak
no,
Island.
they'll
there
find
never
something.
was.
Well, they just found a gem, a big old gem, JD. So you tell me.
Insane.
No.
Insane.
So then I started watching this. It was a National Geographic show. It's called Lost Treasures of the Maya. And this is real. This is real archaeology because they've developed this software so they'll fly a plane or a drone or they've got it on their tablets and it essentially gets rid of all the trees. So they're in the jungle in Guatemala and it removes all the trees and they can see all of these features on the land that they're
Mounds.
like, this is a pyramid. This is a pyramid. And they'll go, and it is. They're finding walls in this, because the jungle's just so thick and so dense and so overgrown. If you're just walking, you wouldn't see a lot of this stuff. And they are finding like full cities that are just like covered in trees. And it's incredible when they see this technology. That stuff gets me really excited because they're like, they found this big slab, you know, they went to this location, they found a big slab, uncovering it, and they're like, this is telling a story about a king that we knew about, but we didn't know he had anything to do with this region at any point. And so now we're seeing his name on this slab over here, and it's just like changing Mayan history and the way we understand it. It's incredible. So if you like archaeology, if that stuff excites you at all, you got to watch Lost Treasures of the Maya because they don't waste any time. There's none of that, well, let's go dig. Oh, we didn't find anything.
Let's go to commercial
they
Discovery
are going
Channel style.
Straight to a thing that they see on their radar or whatever. It's called LiDAR. And they go and they don't even dig. They're just like, oh, there it is. There is a giant pyramid-shaped mound at the top of this hill. This is a pyramid.
They used to do that. So when I was in school and I studied this, like Mesoamerican history, they were doing that with just eyes. They obviously did not have the tech to do that. So you would just fly around swaths of jungle and you'd do a grid. You'd fly through a grid and you just look for a mound. I didn't know they had like a technology. It makes sense.
It's new. It's pretty new.
No,
right?
it would make sense that would do a much better job than just looking at it and looking for patterns. Because we are pretty good at pattern recognition as humans, but not as good as computers are.
And you got to see the stuff that when they show the map, when they pull all the trees away, and you're like, holy crap, that's like a huge wall with 3 huge buildings, and it's like
Tony Stark shit.
Nuts. It's nuts.
Keep on rolling, baby.
What's this?
What time it is?
Oh, it's my kudos. It's my kudos.
Oh, your real kudos?
Yeah, we have some kudos for my boy, Fred Durst. I didn't think this would be happening, but I'm so excited that it is. So if you guys weren't aware, if you weren't listening to this podcast for the last year and a half, Fred Durst directed a John Travolta film called The Fanatic.
Did amazing.
It has like a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You know what? What do they know?
What do they know? These
Rotten Tomatoes doesn't know anything.
No, they clearly don't. And clearly they don't know something that Fred Durst knows, because Fred Durst has just launched a campaign, an Oscar campaign for John Travolta's role in his film, The Fanatic.
Guys.
John Travolta is up for an Oscar for a Fred Durst directed joint.
How can we get behind this and support this?
We're not the Academy.
This is what we need to do.
How much does a billboard in downtown LA cost? Because that's basically all we can do. If we can crowdfund a billboard, a 4-year consideration billboard in downtown LA for this nom, I mean, we could get it somewhere.
Yeah.
Does anyone know anyone at the Academy? Let's see if we can get some like blackmailing or anything like that.
So I haven't seen The Fanatic. I have to admit, as a huge Fred Durst director fan, I tried and could not find a single screen playing it here in Utah. So I guess I could just buy it on Amazon for like $27 because, you know, Fred Durst knows his worth.
Is that really how much it is? Is it?
I don't fucking know.
We got to look at it.
I'll look it up. But what I can tell you is that there is a scene in this film that I've seen in which one of the characters is driving with another character, neither of which are John Travolta, and they're listening to, it's a guy driving with his son, I believe, and he's listening to Limp Bizkit.
Smart.
And then he references it, and he's like, you like a little Limp Bizkit? Yeah, it's good, huh?
Got to self-promote.
Unbelievable. And I'm just sitting here like, Fred, no! No!
We used to be good, you guys.
I
swear.
I can get The Fanatic on DVD at Best Buy for $9.99. I can also get it on eBay used for $11.64.
Oh.
This actually gains value as it gets older.
I was like, wait, buy it used for like $2 more?
Yeah, you know, like when you buy a car and they say you lose like a bunch of the value when you drive, right when you drive
Not
off the
with this
lot.
movie.
Exact opposite with this. The second you open the cellophane wrapping, this DVD immediately becomes instantly more valuable.
The more you watch it, too, it gets more valuable.
Oh,
so it's
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I guess it's on pre-order at Best Buy, so I'm just going to have to pre-order the shit out of it. When is it out? It's out on the 10th. I tried to go to this
December
film.
10th?
I would have had to drag Jen into this film, which apparently is not only like bad, it's like aggressively bad and kind of disturbingly bad. So I'm like way in. I'm so in, especially for the self-referential
3-bit screening of the Fred Durst movie. What's
Yeah.
it called?
The Fanatic.
The Fanatic. That's
So
right.
like a total of 6 people in a big theater.
No, it'll be me and JD watching it at his house.
Hooting and hollering. Yeah, at Fred Durst's house. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal.
Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news.
At this point, I've forgotten why we're laughing, and I'm just like, we're laughing at Jackson's laugh, right? That's why we were laughing?
You remember why we were laughing?
Yeah, because it was so shitty, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JD
I just
started
did a
it.
shitty job.
Live this is on the 3-Bit Gamer Show, and then he didn't know what to say. He didn't write it out. So he just says, the news.
Yeah, when your first take's your best take, you got to go with it. So we have some really good news, actually, this week out, and we'll start with the big one. There's a new Half-Life game that isn't Half-Life 3. I'm so sorry.
I mean, so it's between 1 and 2, right? I think it's between 1 and 2.
So Half-Life is this old series, which I can say now, which makes me feel old.
It made all of us feel old. I kind
I'm
of died
so
a little bit.
sorry about
like, ooh.
that. It is an old series. There's Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, and then Half-Life 2 Part 1 or Part 2,
Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
and then Half-Life 2 Episode 3 maybe.
Yeah.
And that was it. There were 2 follow-ups
It
on
was-
the orange box.
I don't remember.
I think they just,
I thought it was just
put
Half-Life
all
2
on
Episode 2.
Xbox, yeah.
They were a first-person shooter, and it was just like the first one at least was very innovative and kind of broke the mold for a lot of these first-person shooter type games. The second one did the same. It was really, really, really outstanding and pushed the envelope on a lot of stuff. And then everyone sat around for, I don't know, we've waited 20 years now for Half-Life 3, and it has never come out. We've never even heard if it's forthcoming.
I think they've actively said they're not making it.
Yeah, because at the time when it was like perfect for them to start working on Half-Life 3, that's when they started working on Steam, and they're like, do we go make Half-Life 3 or do we go make $1 trillion? And I think they went with the
Went with the
second
trillion.
one. Yeah, they went with the trilly.
I always kind of theorize that there's just one dude somewhere in Valve that was
making it
working. Yeah, that was
single-handedly.
working on Half-Life 3. But one of the things about Valve is that everybody's desks are on wheels because they'd move people around
Mm-hmm.
for like little focus testing and to get them on different projects.
Sounds
and
like
that
horror.
guy's desk just keeps getting wheeled away.
It's like,
Oh, no,
wait.
Oh, wait, I had the Half-Life 3.
Engines keep changing.
Yeah,
and he's
basically
like,
they're just like,
"Oh,
hey, I need
man."
this. And he's like, but and then they just like take
Oh.
it. So that's my theory about where Half-Life 3 has been. It's just that one dude just can't catch a break.
He's just
God.
not going to make it happen.
All the
Nah.
source code's written and everything, and he's like, wait. Ooh. Okay, that's
gosh.
fine. So Valve just announced Half-Life Alyx, which is, quite frankly, for most people, anything Half-Life is good at this point because
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
I mean, it had been rumored. We know that Valve has been digging into the VR world. They released the Index recently, which is like the highest end VR headset I think you can get right now. I think it's $1,000
Christ.
for the Index. It's very expensive, but the specs are really great on it. So Valve has really been leaning into the VR side of things. And so there was rumors that they would do a Half-Life VR game. And so, yeah, they just squashed all the rumors and released the trailer and officially announced Half-Life Alyx, which actually looks really, really
It
great.
looks beautiful.
It looks like one of the most intense. I think the specs for Half-Life Alyx were like more intense than the specs you need on your PC for the actual headset itself.
That makes sense.
So it's going to be a very intense game. So you have to have kind of a beast of a PC to run it, and you have to have a VR headset. So the barrier to entry is pretty high.
It's honest to God, like you're $2,000 minimum is what you're looking at.
If you don't already
Yep.
have the PC, you're going to be
It's a $2,000
spend a lot of
investment in
money.
this game. But people will pay it.
Yep.
People do not care.
Well, and people that already have a VR headset,
Thanks for making me
Yeah.
something I can
they're
actually
so
enjoy.
excited.
Yeah.
They're just so excited to play this game. It looks really fun. I saw in the trailer at one point, so you're playing as Alyx, who's a character in Half-Life. I saw at one point she was doing something like with her left hand, like putting in a code or something, or trying to open a door, while with the right hand you're shooting at enemies who are coming at you. So you're like,
cool.
it-
So cool.
it
The
just
one I
looks
saw
great.
that just like, I don't know, it like opened my third eye of what VR could be, because I was like, holy shit, and it seemed like such an innocuous thing, but at some point she's scavenging for ammunition for her gun, and you look at a shelf with just a bunch of shit scattered on it, and the player character pushes. So in this VR headset or whatever, you have two handles that you're holding, essentially, right? Two little controllers with each hand.
Controllers.
So this person has reached out with their left hand and pushed the shit aside, and then there was ammo back there that she then grabbed and then was able to load her gun. And I guess there's like elements of this, like in Skyrim, like the objects all have physics and you could technically push things aside, but it definitely, just the smoothness of it, it looked like real life. It absolutely looked like real life, how if you pushed objects off a shelf, they would go. And it was shocking. Because in terms of a game where you, like Skyrim, where you go through everything and you're scavenging everything, the idea of having it be realistic
and like haptic and feeling like
yes.
that. Yeah.
Oh my god. So you open up a chest instead of just a list and menu of what's inside the chest coming up. You see it all in there and you can just grab it for yourself.
So one of the big things on Half-Life 2 was the gravity gun. I don't know if you caught this. It looked like instead of the gravity gun, they had gravity gloves. So did you ever play Half-Life 2? Mm-hmm. So you had the gun, right? And you could just, any object that could be moved, you could, suck it and shoot it with the gun, right? So it looked like you have a gravity glove.
Unbelievable.
That's doing the same thing,
So
which
cool.
sounds like, that seems like it would be a lot of fun.
I mean, that's Jedi stuff, right? That's like Star Wars Jedi type of
Yeah,
things.
it's just like getting that power like in your hand.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And this is what VR, I think VR in terms of like feeling like a superhero or stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, it actually gives you superpowers.
Yep. So that's out.
Good.
And one thing that it's awesome that Valve's actually working on Half-Life again, even if it's this, even if it's anything, because they've said in interviews, a few of the devs have said, it's just kind of nice to be like they've made these hints like, I don't know, we might have just gotten we just opened the floodgates and we may just have to start doing Half-Life, because maybe what they realized is, I think at the point that it's been 15 years since your last game came out, and if you can look at like a perfect example in comparison is Kingdom Hearts 3, where people are clamoring for something they've wanted forever, and you're kind of nervous of whether or not you can actually deliver. So that, I think, kind of gives you the yips after a certain point. You're like, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. But then you come out with this and you're like, here's a Half-Life game. It's not what you wanted, and it's going to cost you $2,000 to play. And everyone's like, give us more!
We want it!
You're like, maybe I will make Half-Life 3. God, you guys are desperate.
So I think they haven't made Half-Life 3 because Half-Life 2 was like a game changer. Like it did a lot of things for a lot of people that games hadn't done in a while. And so I think the expectation would be so high on Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why they haven't been working on it. How could you ever meet that expectation? Half-Life, from what I understand, Half-Life Alyx did not start as a Half-Life game. They started making this with, they're like, well, let's try this and this mechanic and let's do these things. And at some point they said, this could fit in really well to the Half-Life universe, and made it into a Half-Life game. And I think this is going to be a good litmus test, because if people are like buying this and going nuts and it's well received, maybe they'll start thinking, well, maybe
Half-Life
we
3
should
VR?
just make a Half-Life 3 game.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it does well. It looked incredible.
Dude,
I
the
think
noises, just the noises of the guns reloading, the characters, people getting shot, the guns firing, just took me right back. I was right back there.
It was a phenomenal trailer, and it's cool to see Valve kind of branching out and making things again too. Like they acquired Campo Santo a while ago, so those guys are working on something cool, and with that came so much more talent in their studio that's a little bit more visible, I guess would be the word I'd go for. So I'm really excited to see what else Valve is going to come out with. And
I'd love Valve's story directors to help Campo Santo make something with a complete story. That would be lovely, because Firewatch was an incredible game that just the story ruined it for me. Okay, so here's another one. Actually, Peterson, why don't you do this one? Kojima wants to start working on
it's a real short story.
Yeah.
Now that Death Stranding has been released, it's out there. all the nominations for like every category for Game of the Year.
Yeah,
which
just scooping them up.
is surprising
Yeah.
a little bit. But now that he's done with that, he has said that he wants to start working on a horror game, and he wants it to be the scariest horror game ever made.
I just banged out the most boring game ever made. Now we're going to go for the scariest.
So to get himself ready for this, he has to get himself into, I think he said, to awaken his horror soul, he's just going to be watching horror movie after horror movie after horror movie. And he also said in the same breath, he does not like horror movies.
He's like friends with Junji Ito. Like, how is he not a fan of horror movies?
He was saying
He
like how
is?
he
Yeah.
can't.
Oh,
he's
dear.
saying how he can't watch
Well, then
them.
he has a good baseline to start with.
Dude, he's going to make the most insane. It's going to be just as insane as Death Stranding. Can you imagine that brain making a horror game? It's going to be crazy.
PT, brother. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we never got.
You never got PT?
Well, it never released, right?
It did.
It's
Yeah.
like a full game.
No, not the full game.
That's
just
what I
the
meant.
demo. Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
like
the
we never
full
got.
game
We
never
got the
did.
demo, which is like a little taste, and
The
then they're
demo
like,
was a game changer in itself, though.
And it was
which is
terrifying.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like how he was able to do that. So,
Nope.
given just the blank check he's getting
Exactly.
from Sony.
That's what it's going to be. It's going to be pure Kojima horror game. It's going to be nuts.
They're
honestly,
so fun
this
to make,
kind of
though.
seems like more. Yeah, this seems like more in his wheelhouse. Honestly,
Yeah.
Oh, didn't he just make a horror game? I saw that baby.
yeah.
I thought this was a
Yeah, that's what
horror
I'm
game.
saying. Like
Yeah.
the weird surrealness of Death Stranding. If you'd stripped out the part where he's like, "I want it to be a walking sim," and that's like the core of the game, it could be a freaky ass game.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen is like crying blood or
Yeah.
oil or something. I haven't picked it up yet.
Trying
so-
something that's not regular tears.
Yeah, and it's like
Anything that's
skull
not
people.
tears,
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
Any color that comes out of your eye ducts that is and your ears,
He
any
still
color.
looks great though.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
he
he's
still
Mads
just looks.
Mikkelsen.
Yeah, he just Mads Mikkelsen, man.
Okay. So good luck to that. And then we have this other one. This is kind of news. Former BioWare GM was interviewed by gamesindustry.biz about the difficulties of using the Frostbite engine, which is really interesting. If you guys remember way back when we talked about what went wrong with Anthem, which was built on the Frostbite engine.
Yep.
So I guess rewinding even further, video games are built typically on, especially larger scale games like this, an engine, which Dani probably could give a better description of how that functions.
Yeah. So when we're making a video game, we usually are within a game engine. For indie studios, we're oftentimes using Unreal or Unity. But how this works within a larger studio is we have something called source control. Source control is a backup library.
That sounds like a video game.
I know, right?
Tight game. I love source control.
It's way less fun in real life.
It's so
But-
boring.
You just ruined it.
Just lines of code.
Yeah, it's lines of code, and it's a repository that you say that you are going to add a feature to your game, and you're one of, I don't know, 20 engineers that are working on this big AAA title. So what you do is you check out a piece of that code, and it lets everyone know, like, so-and-so has this, like, branch of our code, and he's working on this. If he gets it to work and he gets it functional and everything, he then does what we call pushing it back into the master copy. It's like committing the changes. So basically, the game engine is what you're putting everything together in, and you're able to test playing, but then it just goes into your source control, like a GitHub or Perforce, to essentially keep it safe and make sure that you have backups.
Right. So it's basically the core of your game, right? Like
Yeah.
everything is based and off of this. And
Yeah.
so these some engines are built to be very flexible and customizable. I think
Yes.
Unreal is built that
Unreal,
way,
yeah.
right? So you could just build anything in
Well,
Unreal.
yeah, like Unreal like has some of its perks. Like I wouldn't recommend maybe making like a 2D side scroller in there, but they have a module for it.
Right.
There's just other engines that may be better for it, like Unity. Additionally, a lot of AAAs have internal engines that they've built from scratch for their purposes. We hear about these in the industry, like Blizzard has their own internal engine they're working on. Valve has like their own stuff that they're doing up there. Like everybody has their own engine for their needs that they're able to kind of build into it, and they can sometimes edit the engine directly for their new game, basically just doing a huge update so everyone has those tools available. But yeah, basically the engine is what everything has to go through. Art assets, engineering, code, all of it.
Yeah, and I guess the problem here is that it saves a ton of money, because if you're not using your own engine, you have to lease an engine, right?
Usually, yeah.
And then you're paying another company for doing nothing, essentially, other than providing you with this source code for your engine. And so obviously, from a purely capitalist perspective, you are incentivized to build your own engine. And if you're a company as large as EA, if you have an engine, you're like, everyone has to use it. Just everyone's going to use this because this is our engine, and this is the EA engine. And so
we own it, use it.
Yeah, and so they have an engine that I guess EA wants to use for everything. It's called Frostbite, and it's really not EA's engine as much as it's DICE's engine, correct? And DICE is a subsidiary of EA that they acquired 10 years ago or something. And they're like, cool. I think part of that deal was for their engine, and so they're like, cool,
Right.
now we have an internal engine. Let's do it. And it's like, wait a sec, I don't think it works like that. And I don't think, and so Dani, I'd love to hear your insight on Frostbite. And this article talks a lot about, how when they're trying to do X, Y, or Z, which is the demands of the game they were creating, they find that the engine can't do it, and so they just have to like hack together whatever they can do to get it.
Yeah.
Which, as you can imagine, leads to bugs and hiccups and problems in the game. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so when you are working with an engine and you want to have your whole company working on it, the first thing to keep in mind is that EA picks up studios, right? So BioWare was not owned by EA. So some of the original games before EA grabbed them, that wasn't on Frostbite engine. And so when they acquired BioWare, they wanted to move everyone over to Frostbite, which meant training everybody in Frostbite. And sometimes that is the biggest hurdle, is just it's a lot of man hours, it's a lot of money to train everyone.
Well,
in a
these
new
engineers
software.
are used to working in whatever. So
Yeah.
do you know what BioWare was using before? Were they using Unreal?
I'm not sure.
I'd have to
actually,
look
what
it up,
they
but
were
they
using. Yeah.
were used to using something that wasn't Frostbite.
Right, yeah. And there are engines that have similarities to each other, just tend to be a little stronger in some regards. Some are in C++, some are in C#, if you're hard coding. Or some of them, like the Unreal Engine, actually utilizes something called blueprints, which are draggable little nodes like you'd see in Substance Designer. I hate using them, but they're very visual, and they're often used for artist code, which is inferior. I'm sorry. It's really hard. It's really hard to like do stuff, but it's a good way to hack together code quickly. But basically when they switched over, they ran into a lot of problems that came down to the fact that Frostbite was not meant for the things they were forcing it to do.
Just really quick, they were using an engine called Odyssey, which was an in-house BioWare engine. It was there, so they had to go from using their own engine
Their
they were
own
familiar
thing.
with, they were trained in, and they shipped games in.
Yeah.
Here's this other one. Use this now. Unbelievable.
Yeah. It basically came into a problem where the Frostbite engine was meant for FPSs. It is built to make a beautiful FPS.
First-person shooter.
Yeah, and we've seen them before from the Frostbite engine. They look great. But try to make a third-person like RPG, a role-playing game like what BioWare does and what BioWare is known for, it means that you're just trying to tack on code to do little loopholes. It's not efficient. It's trying to convince the computer, convince the engine to do something that it's just not built to do. And oftentimes that means kind of jerry-rigging something on there and just holding on to it with like a wing and a prayer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically where the problem came from, just with all of those games.
So in a first-person shooter, for example, you may have click a button to reload, and your character then reaches down and reloads the gun, and it tells the game, hey, we have a full
clip,
magazine, and that's it. But now you take that out to a third person, and you have to show that whole model now reaching down and having all those different interactions.
Just working with cameras is such a pain sometimes.
In the camera, right?
Yeah.
And you have to not only have all that, but you have to have it at a 360 angle, because in a first-person shooter, other than up, down, left, right, you're locked. But as a third person shooter, typically you can move your camera around your character. So now
Right.
it needs to be a 360 degree of you reloading that gun at any possible angle and everything else. And it has to reflect what the reload button you've clicked. And so, yeah, you're using an engine to do something that it wasn't designed to do.
Right. Like a lot of the dialogue trees we see in BioWare, like maybe that didn't really have a super robust system in Frostbite before BioWare got involved. They had to make that.
Yeah.
And they had to make that work of telling game that makes gun good
Yeah.
into talking good. You know? It's just like a lot of backdoors and trying to loop around and make it work when it isn't supposed to work that way.
Yeah. So I think it's fascinating to see as Anthem falls apart, as these games fall apart. I think it's very important to follow up and do these postmortems, as fans. Because here's the thing, like, this is our hobby and it's worth knowing and being invested in. But I think it's also important understanding that these conglomerates that we're all trending toward that just buy up all these studios, I would argue it doesn't even help their bottom line, because you buy a BioWare to ship a really cool game and you end up shipping Anthem because you force them to work within something that they're not used to doing as BioWare. So BioWare, it's like that classic trope when you're like, oh, well, Blockbuster could have bought Netflix for like $15 million, and you're like, oh my god, those they would have ruined Netflix. Netflix would have not been what it would have been, because Blockbuster would have been like, okay, well, now we're going to force you to fit within our infrastructure. You're going to do what we want, and Netflix would probably not have had the leeway to make all these crazy decisions they made, to do all these things that they did that made their product as appealing as it is. And so I don't think that all these studios that are buying up a ton of studios, I think it's a net negative, not just for the studio, but for all, like, the company, like the larger company that's trying to buy it. I just think it's crazy. Like, you think, oh, I'll buy BioWare because they just shipped a $50 million game. The moment you buy them, you have hampered their ability to ship that game. Just like Activision and Blizzard. What Activision has done to Blizzard
sad.
is it's unreversible at this point. And I think that we were all under the impression up until recently that, oh, Activision's letting them, do their own thing. And now we're finding Activision has been leaning on the scale the entire time, and that's why the game quality is dipping. That's why they're making questionable decisions. That's why they're laying off staff to hire a CFO of $15 million.
They're outsourcing a lot more. It's like those 800 people who lost their jobs last year. The whole Diablo Immortal thing, that was made by NetEase, which is a Chinese company.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was largely kind of to try and stem the flow of the problem. I don't honestly know if they thought Immortal was going to have such a bad reaction.
No.
Like, I think it was completely innocent in that regard. But now that Bungie is independent and not under Activision's payroll, I think that really opened them up to...
Has that changed? Because you play Destiny.
Yes,
and
I do.
that's changed. You've noticed
great. They're fantastic right now. Destiny's
See, that's so
doing great.
crazy.
Yeah. And the fan base knew it. When they announced they were going independent, they were losing a ton of resources. They were losing a lot of money in going independent. They just like, the checks are going to stop coming. But in the same time, like, all of their freedom came back to make a lot of these kind of wide changes to their game. They decided to go free to play, which is pretty
outside of Destiny's business model,
which is something that Activision never would have signed off on.
No.
Free to play, no.
Yeah.
Free, I hate that word. I'm an MBA. I've never played a video game before, but I know that the word free is bad.
Yeah.
Socialists.
Yeah, they brought all those MMO aspects in, and Destiny's thriving right now. They're doing fantastic, and it's great to see and it's great to play, but it also kind of puts the pressure on Activision to lean on Blizzard more, because now that's the flagship. That's where it is.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because I don't play Destiny, but since they announced that they were going back to independent, essentially, I've only heard overwhelmingly good things about Destiny content. I mean, there was maybe a couple little hiccups in there, but overall, people who are playing Destiny that are in my sphere, they're loving it.
It's so fun right now. They're doing Halloween events. Shadowkeep and Forsaken are fantastic DLCs. Those were the two that they released after splitting.
Yep.
And it's just been going up from there. They're just really good at their community management, and it just shows that the devs are happier. You can just see it.
That's what I was just going to say is we can talk about this at the macro level all we want.
Yeah.
Is that this company buys this company, it's bad. But when you think about and I'm glad to have Dani here for this, is you think about the micro level, which is these employees, these engineers who are working on a game, which is supposed to be fun. And imagine you're like, can we make it do this? Like, let's do a Halloween event and put a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns in it.
Yeah.
And you're that guy that thinks that. But then if you've floated these types of ideas up the chain and eventually Activision corporate comes back down and says, no, we're not wasting money on jack-o'-lanterns, how is that going to make us money? No, fuck yourself. At that point, the engineer is either doing two things. He's like, I will not make this mistake again because I was excited about something and I got slapped down for it. And the other thing is he's thinking, how the fuck can I get out of here? Where can I go? Can I form an indie studio? And then you have a brain drain of people who are the creatives, who are the fun people making crazy shit for games, the Half-Life 2 guys.
Yeah.
And then you push them out of your company, and all you have is the corporate yes men that will just sit down and they will develop the microtransaction platform that you want.
AAA is not known for taking risks, and you'll
just like films.
You'll start seeing more risks when they have the ability to do that. Putting on my HR hat, right? Every company, this is known. If you allow your employees creativity, the freedom to be creative, that directly coincides with your company's ability to make money and your employees' happiness.
Go figure.
Like 3M is a good example. You know 3M. What do they make?
Sticky notes.
Sticky notes.
Yep.
Right? and their products, they make tape and sticky notes. Their products, I believe sticky notes came from this.
That's why I said
They give everyone 25% of their time. They are allowed to do whatever they want. You can work on anything you want for 25% of your time. And they've seen new products come out of that. They've just seen people using their creative brain to do something and get excited about something. They come back and that bleeds into their regular work. And so it's not different in the video game industry. Any creative industry where you're allowing creatives to be creative, they're going to do better. They're going to perform better. They're going to be happier. And that's what you're kind of seeing.
Exactly. Like a funny story about Destiny, actually, the whole idea of having player characters be able to emote and dance. That was one dude's idea. And other people in the studio were like, nah, like Guardians don't want to dance. So he just knocked it out in code over a weekend and then play tested it. And now he's just like, see, they like dancing.
Dude, no one has a better I told you so.
Dancing.
That guy just struts around the office and anyone questions him, he's just...
I made dancing.
Really? I'd put dancing in Destiny.
Yeah. It's all people do
kiss
now.
my
People
ass.
who said no underestimate how goofy gamers are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to dance. You're
Yeah.
going to do some stupid emote just because you have it.
Yep.
So, but how's that going to make me money? All right. So as long as we're just shitting on big companies, let's shit on Google. It's always fun.
Always
Stadiawatch 2019. Keep your ears glued.
This is great.
Dude, Stadia is Google's cloud promise. I think that they were like,
Pipe
oh, you'll be
dream?
able, yeah, exactly. You'll be
Yeah.
able to. Do you know where that phrase comes from?
No.
Pipe
I'm
dream?
about to. Do you?
No.
It comes from the popularity of heroin, but it wasn't heroin. It was just smoking poppies or smoking opium. It's like the opium wars.
Oh.
Because you had all these opium dens in China, and you had opium pipes, and people that smoke a lot of opium. I don't know, because I don't even know how you would get opium at this point. Have traditionally very hallucinogenic and crazy dreams, and so they were described as pipe dreams.
Wow.
So that's
Opium
what's going
pipe.
on at Google.
So everyone at Google, which
now we get it.
nothing would be more fitting than all these Silicon Valley douchebags to be like, oh yes, I'm looking at ancient Eastern culture and I'm learning that they used to smoke opium, and then they'd smoke opium for their great ideas. It's like when they microdose LSD. I'm like, guys, if you want to do drugs at work, just fucking do drugs at work. You don't need to write 5 Medium articles about it. No one believes that you're doing it because you're like, oh, I'm trying to become more invasive. No. Anyway, obviously, I'm on a Google thing. So
Stadia
is not doing well. They have launched, and
can we put air quotes around launch?
launched.
It's kind of out there
It's
in
kind of
some
out,
capacity.
and there's constant complaints, and so we're just going to go through these, and we're going to move on.
Just so many bits.
Number one, Chromecast Ultras apparently already have an overheating problem. So if you're trying to stream 4K content on your Chromecast Ultra, which plugs into your HDMI port and it's a little dongle that hangs on your TV, about 4 hours in, that thing is going to get hot as fuck because A, there's an inadequate heat sinks because it's tiny. Where would you put them?
They're not very big.
And B, there's no fan, which again, because it's tiny and it would just sit back there and smack against your TV. Swack, 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 swack. What the hell else are you going to do with it?
What are you doing to your TV that's making it shake like that?
I don't know. Well, if you have a fan, I'm imagining like a propeller and it's like just moving around.
Just
Long story
flopping
short,
around.
these things already have an overheating problem, and they've based their entire technology on the Chromecast Ultra, at least for TV streaming, and they just overheat for 4K.
There's a reason that 4K computer you built has 5 fans in it.
Yeah, and water running
Sounds
through
like
it.
Yeah, sounds like
the
a jet
craziest
shooting off.
heat sink on it.
But no, they're like, no, a little tiny dongle will do
Chromecast
this.
has
We'll be
got
able to
it.
mimic this exactly. So that's great. They are also apparently exaggerating the quality. This is one of my favorites. They're exaggerating the quality of Stadia's games by and they ran this article. They wrote this article that apparently like no one can get anything higher than 1080 in using the Chromecast. That it's just not possible. They're just not getting 4K that they were promised. So Google comes back and they're like, "Oh, well, Stadia does 4K. It's just none of the games on Stadia do."
What?
You're like, oh, it's the game, it's as they put
The
it,
game's
and it's like
fault.
it's the nicest way they put. Developers are they basically just said it was the game developers' fault. Developers making Stadia, this is their official statement.
Oh my God.
Developers making Stadia games work hard. Condescending, fuck you. Work hard to deliver the best streaming experience for
They
every
try
game.
hard.
Like you see on all platforms, this includes a variety of techniques to achieve the best overall quality. We give developers freedom of how to achieve the best image quality and frame rate on Stadia, and we are impressed with what they've been able to achieve for day one. That was the most loaded statement. That's only an excerpt from it, but you guys probably parsed out that they're like, it's the developer's fault. We've done everything we possibly could because Stadia is flawless because it's a Google product. And of course it's flawless. It's Google. We've never done anything wrong in our lives. And we've done everything that we could to empower game developers to make it right. And, they tried. For day one, they did a good job. Dude, I would be so pissed if I was the developer and they threw me under the bus like this because their product is overheating and setting people's TVs on fire. Get real.
That just sounds like they walked in with execs and just said, make it 4K and left. And then they're like, we gave them the resources.
Yep. That's which is how Google works.
Yeah.
You know, if you just say it's in 4K, it doesn't mean it's 4K,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
No,
but
we just
are
turn-
Larry and
no, we just
Sergey
flip the
smiling at the
4K
end of the meeting?
switch.
Yeah.
We just flip it up to 4K. The like dial, we went from 1080, flip it up to 4K.
Get real.
Isn't that how it works?
Get real. I just and then finally this one, Project xCloud, which is you probably know more about this if you want to talk about it, but this is Microsoft's.
Yeah, so Microsoft has Project xCloud, and in my opinion, Microsoft's doing it correctly because they're launched as like a beta.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're trying this out. Jump in, try it out, and see how it was.
That's what you do if you're a company that makes mistakes, unlike Google, who's never made a mistake ever.
Well, Microsoft knows what they're doing when it comes to gaming and video games and what it takes.
Yeah.
They make games. They have a one of the biggest gaming
They
platforms,
throw so
right?
much money at it every
This
year.
is a big deal for them. I feel like they know what they're doing. Google doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to gaming. And so, yeah, making all these promises
They're so
that
proud
they
of
made.
it.
Microsoft xCloud has just come out and they're trying it, and people are already having more success in that than they're having with Stadia because Stadia, guys, has officially launched. Like, it's out there if you're a founder and you can't do it. You can't play it. You can't.
One of the buttons on your control doesn't do anything.
Yeah, like it's officially launched and it's like a non-existent thing. And so Microsoft xCloud already doing a little bit better. Amazon just came out, I think this week or last week, like not that long ago, and announced their streaming games service or platform or whatever you want to call it. I think Stadia promised too hard, too fast, and they're just getting so much bad press now when they could have drugged this out a little bit and tried to make this a better product. Because right now it's just nothing. Right now it's just a joke.
It just
The
sounds
terrible
like
launch.
the Google Glass all over again. It's just going to be like a little blip in the radar of like, well, that didn't work, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
Like, we used to make jokes around my studio about like, we could put it on Stadia, and then we're like, like just not.
That's not going to
You could
exist
have,
next
and
year.
then you could be sitting in this chair right now while Google's throwing you under the bus for doing
Yeah.
your best to try to work within their shitty architecture.
We didn't even get that far. No one wanted to do it.
No one even wants to do it. Like, I just can't believe it. Like, I'm already ticked because I think Google's like the worst company in America. Say what you will about Comcast, but
I was going to say.
Comcast doesn't come out and say, "Oh, we're good guys, we're great," and then do like ostensibly evil shit.
No,
like,
they
at
just kind of
least
get you in the
they
alley.
just-
with, like,
yeah.
They
iron.
know what they are.
Comcast, they're like, we're evil, fuck you, you have to deal with it anyway.
Yeah.
Google's like lying to you as they hold your head underwater. So that's why I kind of
Stadia, this will not be our last Stadia update because this has not been good.
As long as the sniper dot doesn't get us.
That's right. What's that laser coming through your window, JD? Right on your forehead.
I'll be the first to go. Good. Okay, so I think it's time to transition into Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Gobble,
Thanksgilling.
gobble, gobble, motherfucker. Which is a line from Thanksgilling if you haven't seen it yet. If you didn't really seriously pause this episode to watch the 70-minute hit,
This
Thanksgilling,
episode will be longer than Thanksgiving.
gobble, gobble, motherfucker. Just go watch it.
That is
It's
a
so
line
good.
from the movie.
That is a line. We
It's
all
a
saw
line.
it.
We all saw it. All right, so let's start with you're at your holidays. Like, let's paint the scene. You've just showed up to Thanksgiving. It's like 11 in the morning, I guess, because some of the early football games are on. Maybe you're
Like the
there
parade's going,
early for the
yeah.
Macy Day Parade or the dog show, and you're just hanging out with your family. And then the dog show ends. The football games suck, and you're still waiting for food.
That turkey's cooking, right?
It's just doing its best. It's in
really-
there.
He's trying.
He's right.
So, what video games do you pull out to play with your family? What would be a good hit to play with your loved ones who may not be all gamers?
They might not be gamers, right? There's going to be a mix. There's going to be young kids. There's going to be your parents, and there's going to be, So what games can you play with them?
Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
one.
everyone will love it.
It's hilarious. Anyone can play it. Anyone can just start
Oh yeah,
playing
there's
it. There's no consequences.
It's not really a
There's no
learning curve.
fail state. There's no
Yeah.
loss or anything.
You can't lose.
Any age can play it, and quite frankly, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
if
the
one
kids
person
love it.
just plays, kids love it. They'll, everyone can shout, "Go over there, go grab this thing from that guy." So that's one of my recommendations. I thought Untitled Goose Game would be so fun on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
So there was a game that I played with all of my adult siblings. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, so we have like a lot of adults in our family, and a lot of that time is just kind of like chilling and hanging out. But our big game is actually Overcooked.
Oh yeah, that's on my
Yeah.
list.
That's in my on my
Of
list of
not
not
to
to play.
Yep.
Because
Oh.
when I start playing Overcooked, it becomes this like ball of stress, and
Everyone's
you're just like,
yelling at each
Oh,
other.
that's exactly what we do. That
Oh.
is Thanksgiving, though.
Perfect.
Yeah, like it's
Oh.
like my brother calling my sister a bitch because
Yeah.
she took a soup pot. Like that's just like
Give her a
Thanksgiving.
soup pot back, you bitch!
you suck.
No, I get that. That's fine.
Wait,
and that
so
warms.
Danny's
That's the warm up.
exacerbating
That's the warm up for
The
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving mood.
No,
Got
she
it.
doesn't want to go into Thanksgiving dinner cold. Like, let's
Yeah.
get those fights started now, so they're full fledged while
Yeah,
we're
let's
eating.
just like get into it.
First
that way,
course, we
yeah.
want to be already at it.
Yep.
It's the spice that you don't get from Thanksgiving food.
Oh my gosh. I had let's see, where's my list? Oh, so I just barely played a game with a group of people. It's just released on Steam. So you'd need to coordinate this, and I don't know how to coordinate this, but Killer Queen, have you guys played it?
Yeah.
I just played it for the first time this weekend.
I've heard amazing things about the arcade machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've never played it?
No.
Dude, this is a great game. So if you can somehow swing it, because it's not hard and there's so many things to do. I mean, I just picked it up. Because we went to my friend's work and they had the arcade machine at his work, so we were just playing it. I'd never played it before. 1 minute in, I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. I know what this game, what I'm supposed to try to do, and just it's so much fun. And you don't have to be a good gamer to play it. right?
Yeah.
Because there's not much to it. It's just like one button and a joystick, essentially. So if you can somehow swing that on Steam multiplayer somehow, do that. That's because it's a blast.
One I love so much. I've talked about it on this podcast before. I didn't realize it was on the Switch, but it's $15 on the Switch right now, so it's like an absolute must-buy, is Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. I'll say it again because it's a weird title. It's Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. I don't know how you're going to remember it if you're driving right now. I'm so sorry. But this game is a 4-player co-op game. You're in a space station that flies around on a 2D space, like a 2D side-scroller.
Very like cute, pixely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then, and your characters can be like cute, like a bunny or something. Like you can get these, or a frog. You can get different characters. But you are entirely confined within the space station, and you're just running from the controls from one control station to the next within the tiny little space station. So one person might be on the driving controls and one person's on the gun on the right side of the ship, and then you start going into an emergency on the left side. And so either the person who's on the driving controls, which is closer, he can then run over to the left side to start operating that gun, but now this thing won't be flying properly anymore, and the other person will have to go. So it's a very teamwork based game. But why I think this would be a perfect Thanksgiving game is because if you are a competent gamer, which I assume most people listening to this are, you can kind of carry your whole team.
Yeah.
And so you could put 3 people that, your grandma and 2 of your uncles on the game, and even if they're like not really great at it, as long as they can kind of shoot a gun or whatever, you could fly the ship for the most part and keep everything managed. Honestly, you could probably play the game totally solo, and as everyone's just screwing it up, you can just for the most part, you could do it pretty well on your own. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a perfect game to play.
That one's very good.
Yeah.
I had another one, and I haven't played this, and I kind of really want to. It's called Space Team.
I love Space Team.
You've played it.
I played it on a plane. Imagine how that went.
Oh my gosh. What? So Space Team is described as a cooperative shouting game. That's how it describes itself.
You mean a basic co-op game? Because that's how all my co-op games are.
Do you like pushing buttons?
Where are you going with that?
The dishes are piling up.
Everything's on fire now.
So it says, do you like pushing buttons and shouting at your friends?
Yeah.
Do you like discharging
Yes.
clip-jawed fluxtronians? So,
You don't need to keep selling me. You already had me.
so
It's
you
so
download
good.
this on your phone. So everyone downloads it. And then you are a team trying to repair a ship.
Oh, it's a phone game? Oh, even better.
So everyone's looking at... but everyone has a role.
okay.
And so, you have a specific role. And so you'll have to yell to someone, hey, do you need to discharge your clip-jawed fluxtronian?
I do want to see this played on a plane.
Only one person will know what you're talking
Did
about.
the air marshal arrest you guys?
No, we just got really into it. We were a couple rows apart, so
Oh
we had
my
we had to be loud.
Dude, and
It's
so
like a red-eye flight.
this sounds like a game you could just have everyone download on their phones. Everyone has a phone and just start playing it, and it would be fun.
Tell me the game again, the name.
It's called Space Team.
Space Team.
On your phone, download it. It's free.
It also has a board game version. I don't know how that
my
one
gosh.
works, but I have seen it in board game stores. There is a card game version of it too.
Okay.
Space Team.
Anyone else have any more? I was going to say games not to play with your family. Don't play Smash Brothers.
I put Smash Brothers. I put any game that
Yeah.
requires skill because there's going to be a skill gap and someone's going to get pissed.
Yep, that's why I was thinking, because your 8-year-old nephew is going to come and ruin the game for everyone else because he's
he'll
so
be better than everybody.
Yep, so it won't be as fun.
I put Madden. So don't play a sports game.
Yeah.
Don't play a football game
It's
because
boring to watch.
2 people can do it. It's boring to watch. You'd rather just watch regular football. They take kind of a long time, and people always get pissed. People always get pissed in those games.
And it's so tempting too on Thanksgiving when you're like, "Oh, football's the theme of the hour. Let's do some football game." But like you said, no one wants to watch that. You don't even want to play it.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit somebody.
No, don't do it.
Okay.
Don't play no reindeer games with me.
Carrie Sinise, always great. Peterson, you have a reindeer game for us.
Yeah, this is a pretty simple one. It is essentially a true-false game. Recently, Elon Musk, just coming out of left field, announced Cybertruck.
Smoked a fat J with Joe Rogan and invented a truck. Let's see
A
it.
Tesla truck called Cybertruck, which is incredible, by the way. The name of that is just...
It's just called Cybertruck?
Cybertruck.
You know, Cybertruck 2077.
Right.
You've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it.
Cybertruck! Keanu needs to say
Yeah,
that.
Keanu's in it.
Monday. Beep, boop, beep, boop.
Keanu is the voice of the GPS.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like a chip.
You're gonna have to turn
What was
left
that? What was the car? Knight Rider?
Knight Rider?
Ship.
It's Keanu voice.
Oh,
I changed
TLC.
my mind. Mr. Musk, you can have my money.
Yeah, anything. Apparently, he's got 135,000 pre-orders already.
Okay,
Seriously?
so
I don't know.
if you haven't seen the truck, it looks. People are joking because it looks like a truck from like the 64-bit era. It looks like a space vehicle. It's
Yeah.
very blocky looking.
Polygonal, like
Yeah.
it's a PS1 model. They just 3D printed.
It is.
I posted this meme. I think on our Facebook was that it comparing like the regular Tesla to like the new Lara Croft versus the old Tesla to like the one with like the triangle boobs.
Triangle boobs. That's what
Yeah.
this is.
But other than memes, Danny and I know nothing about Cybertruck.
Yeah.
And so Peterson is here to give us.
I'm going to give you some facts about Cybertruck, and you need to tell me whether it is true or not.
Or you made them up.
So, first of all, I'll start with some real basics.
Okay.
Okay. Cybertruck has 2 hidden compartments, one on each side on a flap that folds up. It's like a smuggling compartment. It essentially looks like on the outside of the truck. So, like, it's got a trunk, and then it's got these side flaps.
Why would you put it on the
I gotta say
outside?
true because I know Teslas that they love their compartments.
I'm going to say false. That sounds like it wouldn't work.
It's true,
I hate it.
and it's weird.
I'm canceling my
There's
pre-order right
2
now.
triangle-shaped compartment, like the worst shape for storing stuff. 2 triangle-shaped compartments that fold up on the side, and you can't really tell. They look like it looks like a smuggling thing because
this-
it doesn't look like they would fold up.
Is this where you get that tablet that was on The Office, the pyramid?
Yes.
You just kind of like slap it in there?
That's the only
Oh my
place to
God.
put it. The pyramid.
The strength of the pyramid.
Okay, the headlights.
What? I'm still stuck on the pyramid reference. That's amazing. That's the in the Tesla,
strongest-
the normal Tesla, they have that big iPad thing, but in the Cybertruck, it's a fucking
pyramid.
triangle, and you're like, why?
Why? It's the
Why?
strongest shape.
It's the strongest shape of all time. Why? Just why?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it doesn't have traditional headlights. It has a full LED bar that goes across the front of it on the top of the windshield and at the front of the vehicle.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So instead of traditional headlights, one on each side, an LED bar that goes across the whole front of the
Light
car
bar.
and at the top of the windshield.
Yeah, that sounds stupid enough that Elon Musk would replace
Yeah, I'll say
headlights with a
true.
light bar.
Yep. And it essentially is for, like, he said, if you're off-roading.
What?
If you're off-roading, if you're at night off-roading, you turn on the
This guy
one
does not understand
above,
his target demographic at all.
It's
above.
not the Batmobile.
Yeah.
He wants it to be.
Dude,
the
I'm always
Batmobile.
night off-roading. That's my thing, I guess.
In my Tesla.
In my Tesla, because I love hitting deer.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. The tires are not traditional tires. They're airless tires. Have you seen those?
No.
They're
No.
airless tires. It's like a weave that doesn't require air, and so they're puncture proof.
False?
False.
That is false. But those tires do exist.
I was going to say, I thought those
Okay.
tires existed, but I think if they were in production, I would know about it.
Oh, they're out. You can buy them
You can buy them? Why don't I have them?
because they're really expensive
Oh.
and kind of goofy.
Yeah, super goofy.
Okay, the front windshield is also a full AR screen. So like the dashboard that you would typically have in your below your windshield right above your steering wheel, all of those things can be displayed.
Do
in
I think
various
this is
places on the
real?
windshield.
No. Is this something I think fits with the name Cybertruck? Yes. So I'm going with true.
I'll say true on this too. It just sounds like the kind of thing that he'd mess with. There's
It's
no road
false.
safety here. Oh,
There's no
That's false.
AR.
I made that
There's
up.
no AR.
But that does sound like something that would
I was
be
gonna
on
say,
the
how can you call it
Cybertruck.
Cybertruck if you don't
Yeah.
have a full AR windshield? Get out of here.
The body is the same material as the SpaceX Starship.
I'll say true.
It
sounds stupid.
False?
It's true.
Sounds expensive.
It's true.
Sounds-
It's the same material, and he said it
and they
could...
didn't call it Space Truck? Dumbass.
Idiots.
Idiot.
Stupid shit for
Star
brains.
Truck. Star
Star
Truck.
Truck.
Star Trek.
Come on! Star Truck?
These
You could
idiots.
piss off an entire new generation of Trekkies because you'd have Truckies.
Star Truck 1K, no C.
Yeah.
Truk.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the worst.
Truck.
Just one letter
One-
off. One letter off. Use the same font.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So it is
Gene
made...
Roddenberry just like, is he dead? Because if he's not, he's rolling over in his grave.
So yeah, the body's made from like this steel, like I don't know how steel works, like 36 folded steel that can can withstand shot from a 9mm handgun. So, apparently, I wouldn't trust that.
Yeah, I don't
because
trust that.
I saw the window test, and the windows broke.
So you're saying as long as I stay out away from the windshield, I could just drive this through an active war zone. It's a war truck.
Yeah, it's a war truck.
Well, since
Maybe he's onto something.
Star Wars
What's
truck.
gonna happen? Is something? Oh my god, Star Wars. The Star Wars truck package.
yeah, you can get it.
Okay, couple more. Optimal there. So those side compartments. There's an optional drone attachment where you can fit a drone in there. Where you can, once the car's been fully parked, you can control the drone from your steering wheel on the screen in front of you.
What does the drone do?
Just to go like,
Tell me what the drone does.
you're taking this off road. It takes pictures.
At night, does the drone have night vision and
In
a
a war
laser
zone.
in a war zone?
It shoots missiles from. Oh, the bed of the truck is a missile.
Dude, they always say we're fighting wars with the weapons from the last war, which is traditionally how it's worked. Elon Musk, for whatever reason, is making a consumer truck for the next war.
Is
No one knows why.
fighting? What does
He's
he know?
fighting a space war in his head,
does he
and all
know?
the people pre-ordering are like, "Yeah, I want to fight that war. That sounds fucking awesome." Are you
The
kidding me?
the flamethrower that he invented is.
My truck has a fucking
No,
night
guys,
vision
I
drone.
get
That's
it.
awesome.
He saw Avengers Endgame and thought it was real.
Thought it was real. He was
thought it
just
was
like,
a documentary.
he was microdosing, he was macrodosing LSD, and he's like, fuck.
It's on its way.
We
He's
need a
coming.
truck for Tony Stark.
Have you guys seen the news lately?
The news. He calls the MCU the news. He gets Disney Plus, and he's like, this is terrifying. Why is no one freaking out?
New York is gone.
It's gone, you guys. There's this blue alien.
Killing everybody. Solar panels, built-in solar panels on the truck.
I'll say yeah.
I feel like that. Why don't we have those already? Yeah.
It's an option. You can, and it goes on top of the bed because you know how the bed is like a big long angle. It goes on the top of that, and it can fold down.
So you go to throw some bricks in the back of your truck and you shatter your
It says-
$10,000 solar
It
panel.
says you can walk on it. That was the point. That you can walk on.
Yeah,
this
and you can
solar
throw
panel.
metal balls at the windows and they won't break. Guess what? Solar panels are delicate.
He's taking notes from Google, just making promises that they can't.
You
Is
should
it fully Stadia integrated?
No, but you know the Tesla models now, the cars, they have games that you
Yeah.
can play on them.
No, the screen in Teslas is the reason I would never buy a Tesla.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That is so distracting. It's like asking for trouble.
It's asking. Well, they can drive itself. Let's see. Well, a couple other facts about this because we got to wrap up. There's an optional ATV that fits in the back.
That's real, isn't it?
That's real.
That's real?
It's an option. The other option.
This game is so great, right? Because this is the stupidest fucking vehicle ever created.
Yep, there's a ATV and it charges on the battery, and you can just ramp it. The back folds up into a ramp, and you just ramp it out. That's
We
real.
should have sat down instead of doing the segment this way and tried to figure out in his head
What is happening?
what is the ideal consumer for this to buy all the packages. This is someone who loves to ATV in the dark, but also loves.
Drone.
Wait, I didn't
He's
tell you
also
about the.
under constant gunfire.
I didn't tell you about the camping attachment. This is real.
The what?
Camping. So you can get a package where the back folds out and it folds up into a tent. So you're sleeping in the bed of your truck, folds up into a tent, and the back piece of it folds out into an electronic stove.
Oh my God, I just figured out who he actually thinks is going to buy this truck.
Who's going to buy this?
This is the official truck of Burning Man. Every obnoxious Silicon Valley tech bro will have this truck.
There it is.
They can sleep in it.
They can go camping in it. They can
take the
their
four-wheeler
ATV,
out on the...
But I don't want to be too uncomfortable. I still want to be able to play
because
Stadia games in my car.
People who buy Teslas don't go camping.
Right.
They're two different markets.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
And you can't call Burning Man camping, so it's perfect.
You nailed it.
Fire
nailed
Fest
it.
again.
Yeah.
It's
Firefest the truck.
Fire truck.
Fire truck. Damn it, we got there again. Yeah, that's just the worst. Thanks for that.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with video games, but how do you
know,
pass
but
up?
it looks like a video
Cybertruck.
game.
Get real. Okay, so we have Foodio games and TBD on the clip. I promise you guys, one of these years.
That is the clip. We don't have one.
Oh yeah,
That's the intro clip for Foodio games, is that we don't have one.
It's just like 15 seconds of silence. All right, now a moment of silence for Foodio games. Foodio games is it was a very brief moment. Foodio games is our segment where we try to combine games and our second favorite thing in the world, which is food.
Well,
and
first favorite thing.
it depends. Oh, I came up with the best one. Would you rather give up candy for the rest of your life or chips for the rest of your life?
Candy. Easy.
Yeah?
Easy. I love chips.
chips.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It was just instant.
Okay. Oh. See, but this includes chocolate.
I'll still be okay, I think.
Can you get chocolate?
I'm gonna worry
Can
about
you eat those chocolate covered potato chips?
Oh no.
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 They're not candy, they're chips.
No matter what option you choose, you cannot eat those. Those are out forever.
But those are the best Pringles.
They're so freaking good,
They're
right?
so good.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I
I
like the one they're super salty and then chocolate. I guess I like salty chocolate.
It's a thing. I mean,
So good.
we actually drove out to BlizzCon this year, so 12 hours in the car.
Just those.
And just those, and a lot of Snapples, and everyone passed out. And when we woke up, my friend Danielle had all of them. They were all gone.
Balanced meal, dude. You got
She just got
Snapple,
'em.
you got your fruit, you got
your chocolate.
and you got some vegetables.
I would go with not eating chips because I like candy.
literally
And there's a
cannot
chip substitute
decide.
for me. There's a chip substitute. Like I could do a cracker. I could do a
Sad.
no.
That sounds
Crackers,
so sad.
I feel like are borderline, and you're messing with my game.
No, like
anyway,
Cheez-Its.
clearly this is something we're very passionate about. So
I am
this week's
not done talking about this.
So we're actually going to cut right here. And all right. Well, so we just came back from a 25-minute discussion of Cheez-Its with Peterson, whether or not they're chips. Guess you want to hear that. All right. So we wanted to do Thanksgiving foods as video games. So what are your... So I guess I'll just start to give people, because this is just low-hanging fruit. For me, my turkey, that is, no matter what I do to it, no matter whether it's on a sandwich or it's on the plate, it's always going to be really good, and you can't really screw it up. It's Tetris. It's hard to screw up Tetris. You could if you really wanted to, but every time there's an iteration of Tetris, you're like, yeah, I'll play that, and I know it's a known quality. I know what to expect, and same thing with turkey. Like, you show up to someone else's Thanksgiving dinner, unless it's dry, turkey's always going to taste the same. It's always going to be the same.
Yeah.
And you can cover it with gravy even if it's dry, so, like, who cares? Quit whining. Eat your turkey.
So I do like the Tetris analogy, but I'm probably going to piss off people for the other reason. I think turkey is extremely mediocre. It is the basis of the meal. It is the main dish, but
It has outsized influence on the meal.
It
It does not deserve to be the headliner.
No.
I mean, most
Dressing, yes.
most
Some other
turkey
side dishes.
is a little bit dry unless you've done something to it. Someone's going to message me and say, "Oh, Peterson's so stupid. He's cooking it wrong." But like, I've had a lot of turkeys in my life, and the majority of them are kind of dry. Right? It's not as good as moist as like a chicken breast, right? Or duck. And so turkey for me is super mediocre. I don't love it, but I'm going to eat it. So that's why I like the Tetris analogy is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That actually is pretty good because, I'm not going out of my way
I don't
to play
crave
Tetris.
Yeah.
but it's there. I'll
Yeah,
eat
like,
it.
I'll
I'll play it.
Yeah.
Someone's like, hey, we're all playing Tetris. You're like, okay, I'm playing Tetris
I'll
now.
play a little Tetris.
I'm eating
Yeah.
turkey now.
Tetris 99 came out. Hey, I was in for it.
Oh, yeah. I got wiped in that thing every single time.
So
yeah.
bad. I didn't understand
Me neither. I
why
was hitting
either.
buttons.
It's like, I'm not doing that bad. Why am I losing?
How about you guys? What are your turkeys? You turkeys?
I liked yours better.
Okay.
For all of the reasons.
Yeah,
We
I'm
can-
kinda
okay, we can
oh.
move on.
Like legit.
Okay, let's
I look
do-
at mine and I was like, nah, JD's
I
is
don't
better.
want to
Yeah.
say it. It's such
sound like
shit.
an idiot.
Okay, mashed potatoes. What's your mashed potatoes?
For me, I put Fortnite. And here's why. Mashed potatoes are fine. They're not even the best type of potato, but kids will eat it. Everyone will kind of eat the mashed potato, and people will have varying degrees of how much they like it, but it's not the best potato, right? I don't think it's the best Battle Royale game out there. But yeah, we'll eat it.
Yeah.
It's mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I'd say like Mario Kart because it's just kind of like you can do little iterations on it, but really you can just about grab any package or like just however you make mashed potatoes, whether it's the weird little dry flakes.
Wait, are you making packaged mashed potatoes,
Have
Dani?
you not?
I thought those were illegal. I thought they outlawed those
Where
because
did
of the
you get
Geneva
these?
Convention. Yeah,
They've
seriously.
just been in the back of my pantry for a few years. I'm sure they're fine.
Idahoan mashed potatoes, just a big can of it.
It's just like a powder. It's a fine powder.
Danny.
Stop it.
It's like Mario Kart. You just add water and you're done.
Oh my god.
You know what you're getting. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Here's why I can't advocate for the dried mashed potatoes. Because
Beyond the obvious.
potato mashed potatoes are so easy.
You have simplified the simplest food.
It is like not much work at all.
Okay, so for me, mashed potatoes are Skyrim without mods.
Oh, I see where you're going here.
That's fair.
And if you can follow this, gravy is mods.
You know what's funny? Look, I have this written down. Gravy is mods.
Yeah, because you can't play. No one just eats gravy on its own, and no one just.
You haven't been to the South, have you?
That's a really good point. They just put gravy on stuff. I'm like, at this point, you're just looking for an excuse to eat gravy.
Yeah.
Just eat the fucking
Just
gravy.
drink it.
Just
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just put it in a to-go cup and have the gravy, guys.
Just quick side story. In college, I worked at Olive Garden. We had this busload of seniors come in they're doing some tour,
Okay.
of the U.S. on a bus. And it was a bunch of old Southern ladies at my table. Every single one of them ordered kids' chicken fingers. Because, Olive Garden's fake Italian, right? So you don't have, like, fried chicken. And they all asked for gravy. And I was like, this is Italian food. There's no gravy. And they could not understand. Like, they thought I was the biggest idiot in the world for saying there was no gravy. I was like, you want Alfredo sauce?
Wait, they were calling Alfredo
No.
sauce?
They thought it was ludicrous that Olive Garden didn't have gravy. They're like, yeah, we want gravy. And I was like, we don't have gravy. This is Olive Garden.
Do you think all restaurants have gravy?
Exactly. Dude, I think
It's
they
like
do in the
it's like
South.
ketchup. It's like y'all have ketchup, right? Where's the gravy?
Yeah, you got your ketchup, you got your
salt,
ranch,
you got your
and
pepper,
you got your gravy.
you got salt, pepper, ketchup.
It was
gravy.
crazy, and they
giant
all
thing of
asked
gravy.
for it. It was nuts. Anyway, so yeah, we don't eat gravy plain in the Yankee side of the United States.
Seriously. Yeah, so that was my thing, is that mashed potatoes, like Skyrim, they're fine on their own, and that's good, but once you've had them with gravy, you're not going back.
Yeah.
You're not going back. And just like Skyrim, like you put that one Night Sky mod on, and you're like,
Oh yeah,
oh yeah. But again, you can't just play the Night Sky
but
mod.
a bad gravy can make the food worse. And you're putting gravy on all the games,
and it breaks it.
Yeah, you put a bad gravy on your game. Oh gosh, and you can't
Or
get
too
rid
much
of it,
gravy,
or
just
too
like
much
when you put too many mods in your
Skyrim,
Skyrim,
yeah.
and it won't load, and it crashes your whole computer, and you
Dude.
lose your save file.
We went to go play. I played Left 4 Dead 2 with a group of people just like last week. And one of the guys was like, I have too many mods downloaded. Like all of the characters were all of the zombies were like weird different characters. So like he was shooting Kermit the Frog and it was nuts.
He's like on the horn with you. He's like,
Is someone gonna get that Kermit? Hey, shoot that Kermit! It's gonna kill us!
You're like, what are you
what
fucking
Kermit?
talking about? Oh my god. Okay, so I think we should save stuffing for last because that's
I actually didn't
you
have
do?
a good one for stuffing.
Okay. Well, I have one for cranberry sauce, and mine is very unique because our cranberry sauce is very unique. It wasn't until I was a little bit older, like in my teens, that I realized how people mostly do cranberry sauce, which is you just shake it out of the can, just like, and it
You
just sits
plop
there.
it out of the can.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
plop it out of the can, and it
That's
just
what you do.
sits there on a plate.
It has
and
like all the little ribs from the can.
Yes,
on it.
the
yeah.
can. It's shaped exactly like the can.
Yep.
I mean, people will spend days and days preparing this meal, and then one part of the meal is just shaken out of a can, which is
And then you slice off a piece of it.
So, yes, which is so alien to me because when I was growing up, we had a sauce that it was pink and I never touched it because it scared me. And now it's like one of my favorite parts of Thanksgiving, if not my favorite part. It is a cranberry horseradish sauce.
Ooh.
Huh.
I like
Yeah,
that.
and you're like, what the? But anything you'd put cranberry on, just a little bit of that horseradish kick.
Yep. I'm in for that.
It's so good. So I don't know where my mom got this idea.
Tell her to send the recipe.
She's going to hear this episode and text me where she got it, and we'll
Got it.
post the recipe. It'll be perfect. That's how I communicate to my mom. Hi,
Susan,
Mom.
please send me the recipe.
Yeah, Peterson wants it. He loves your honey, by the way.
much.
My mom's a beekeeper. Anyway, so this is, for me, my cranberry sauce is the way I play Age of Empires. Age of Empires 2 specifically because it's unique to me. I love it, and I would never really try to convince other people to play it that way.
Because you play it all slow and lame.
I play it so weird, and it's how I like it. That's how I like my cranberry sauce. A little bit of horseradish in it. That's how I like my Age of Empires. Just a little bit weird.
So I was trying to think of one for cranberry sauce because there's only one specific situation where I eat cranberry sauce. And that is I put all the Thanksgiving food together on a roll and just make a sandwich out of it. Because that's just how I do it now.
Oh, wait. On Thanksgiving? That's
On
not like the
Thanksgiving.
next day or
Nope.
for dinner on
That's how I
Thanksgiving?
eat it. I slice my roll and I put it all on the roll and just eat it like that. Because all of the food, and this is,
CPS is going to
this
hear
is why I'm
this,
going to get some
and
flack.
they're going to take your kids away.
Guys, Thanksgiving
Because you're teaching
food,
them how to eat food wrong.
Thanksgiving food is pretty mediocre. Like, all of it. And even
Someone
the
had to
good
say
versions of it
Someone
are
had to say it.
pretty mediocre. And so this is the only way I like it now. Just throw it in a roll, put with a little slice of that canned gel cranberry sauce for the kick,
I'm
and
kinda
just eat
with
the whole
you, 'cause
thing.
I would agree that each individual element for Thanksgiving is pretty boring.
They
But
smell better than they taste.
but together, they're so good.
That's why I just do it on the roll. I just
And you
know,
might as well just roll them up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. That's how I eat. I did that a few years ago, and I was like, "This is how I do it now." And people look at me like
I was going to say, people judge
Grandma
you, right?
looks at me like I'm crazy.
Okay, as long as you're getting like
and I'm like,
appropriately
I don't
reprimanded.
care, you
Yeah.
guys, because this sandwich is good.
How big are your
Gravy
rolls?
dripping?
You're holding it like this, and I'm like, do you guys have bread bowls for rolls?
I just think of
I
like,
wish.
little baby dinner rolls you get.
And I'm like, how many of those you're going to need? So for my
Little
Thanksgiving
sliders.
meal, yeah, I would need to make at least 10 sliders, and it would take me forever, and everything would be cold by the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing about stuffing. Do you guys call it stuffing or dressing?
Stuffing.
Stuffing.
I call it stuffing, but also my mom calls it dressing. And so I've heard it both ways, but I found out this year that apparently this bothers people.
That you call it stuffing?
No, the concept of calling it dressing is like somehow upsetting to people, which I am in no place to judge because I get upset by the dumbest shit all the fucking time. That's like half my life.
Yeah.
That's my personality.
Yeah,
at this point.
I was gonna say that's my main personality trait is getting pissed about dumb, needless bullshit. So I can empathize with the stuffing dressing people. I just don't get it where
just
you guys are
sounds
coming
cultural
from.
to me. Like
It's like a regional thing.
Yeah, like where you're raised.
Yeah, but apparently people are really mad about it. So, and I don't think it's wrong. I have no problem with either way. So I call stuffing/dressing. This is me playing PC games with a controller. I like it. I do it my way, and you will never change my mind that it's the best way to do it.
Oh, man.
That's my
Wait.
dressing.
Wait.
Yeah, pour that all over my salad.
Wait. Now I'm really confused. Are you putting stuffing on your salad?
How do you eat your stuffing? Wait, what?
Yeah, iceberg
I thought
lettuce
that's why
isn't
they called it
healthy
dressing, yeah.
unless you put stuffing on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
stuffing,
gosh.
dressing, whatever.
Wait, the most important part of Thanksgiving, though, pie.
Oh yeah.
For me,
Fuck, what
hands
is my
down,
pie?
the most important part of the meal.
Rank your pies.
Oh gosh, are you kidding?
Do it now.
My first, my
Do it.
guys,
Wreck your pies.
this is too much pressure. No, for real though, my favorite pie, and this is going to be so lame. My favorite pie is apple pie.
That's not lame. What's lame is if you tell me you've never had it with a slice of sharp
Everyone
cheddar
says
cheese.
this, and I'm not in
What?
for that. No, that's how they. I don't. He sounds like an idiot, and a lot of people swear on that.
One of the meaner things you said to me, but okay.
If this wasn't your house, I would kick you out. Right? No,
It's like so dismissive.
I
Don't listen to this idiot.
this is not a joke. I spent 10 minutes the other day trying to envision in my head what a good apple pie with a slice of sharp cheddar would taste on it, and I can't fathom a world where I like
Me
this.
too. Me too. I was in the same boat as you. I too was once blind, but I have seen because I was like, fuck it, let's just try it. Something weird, something different. I'll just try it. It costs me approximately one slice of cheese. If I don't like it
Wait,
after
you're
that
buying
first
your
bite,
sharp cheddar by the slice?
That's some
I'm just
fancy
kidding.
well, it's
cheese.
only costing me the one slice. I'll eat the rest of the block later while I'm watching something on Netflix. Don't worry.
He bites in. He's just holding the block in his hand, taking bites
It's like
out of
taking
it.
a big old bite. Yeah.
How else are you supposed to eat a block of cheese?
Not
Why do
like
you think they have
that.
it like in blocks?
You like chisel at it.
Oh,
Like a
Dani gets
sculptor.
it.
Yeah.
Chisel at it with my teeth, right?
No.
Can you imagine just eating a whole block of cheese like that? Though.
Okay, so here's your problem: is it has to be sharp. So if
I
you're,
know this.
it's not very cheesy. Sharp cheddar.
Oh,
is
I've
not
looked
like
into
cheesy,
this.
cheesy.
I've looked
but,
into
dude,
this.
I'm telling you, man. I have never had someone that was like, "It's such bullshit. I'm never gonna." It sounds awful. That actually tried it and came back and was like, "No, it was stupid and pointless." It is dairy on a pie. It's the same concept as putting
Okay. Whoa.
ice cream with your pie.
Whoa.
That it smooths out
you
all
can't
the.
put all dairy in
No.
the same flavor profile. Dairy is not a
yeah.
flavor profile.
No, it is not.
Dude, I Google apple pie with cheddar cheese, and the first article is the long storied controversy over cheese on apple
I know
pie.
people like it. I have heard about this for over a decade.
And that's
I
not
see
melted.
it.
Don't get me wrong. Although I would have a melted.
I'm not in for this, you guys. I look, and I know some of my are weird. Like,
yeah.
I know somebody that's in some weird location is going to be like, "Well, you got to try it." It's going to be Abby. Abby's going to message me telling me I have to try it.
Yeah.
I'm not
'Cause
gonna-
She's up in Minnesota or whatever.
Yeah. I think
Where
they do
are
it up
they?
there.
Wisconsin. So she's Wisconsin adjacent.
That's what it is. They put cheese on everything.
They
in
need to
Wisconsin.
get rid of some of their extra cheese. They're going to put it on anything.
Mom, you made an apple pie? How am I supposed to put cheese on that? What am I going to do with all this cheese?
How am I supposed to put cheese on it? Are you even my son? You just put the cheese on, my boy.
Anyways, my apple pie game was Forza. And here's why. I really love a good pie. I don't eat it all the time.
No.
It's like a rare occasion thing. But Forza Horizon 4, that was released, was that last year? I think it was. For some reason, is a game. I do not like car games. I don't like driving games. This game has the dearest place in my heart. I love it so much. And there was just all sorts of ways to play it. You can do a million different
It's just
things
Horizon.
in it.
It's just such a good game.
It's so good. It's just good. And every time I've booted it up, I can't delete it off the Xbox. Every time I've booted it up, I'm like, I love this. I love it so much. And I probably won't play it for 2 more months. And then I get to get it again, and I'm like, I just love this so much. That's how I'm with pie. I don't eat it that much, but when I do, I'm like, I love pie. Pie's the best.
And I'm just providing you with a different playlist for your pie.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I like the music in Forza Horizon. I like to listen to that music, and I'm coming to you with this sharp cheddar playlist. Like, dude, just try this music. And you're like, it's not the same. You can't just swap music. It's not all the same. I'm like, dude, maybe driving this pie, listening to this
You're
specific
like,
soundtrack.
why don't you do this
will-
race in the water? And I'm like, why? There's
And I'm like,
road
just
races.
try it. Just try it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that.
This isn't a boat.
This
It's
isn't
not
a
a
boat.
pizza. I know it's shaped like pizza, but it's not pizza.
If you put
JD.
sharp cheddar on pizza, I would slap you right in the mouth.
That would be weird on a pizza.
It doesn't
Yeah.
melt.
'Cause
That's the whole
it
point.
melts like barely at all.
Uh-huh.
So
So you put it on a pie instead.
okay.
Here's
well,
my pies ranked. Cherry a la mode.
Wow.
The best pie
I
there
do
is.
not like cherry.
I hate cherries. I hate cherry flavored
No, I like
shit.
cherries. I don't
But
like
cherry
cooked
pie
cherries.
a la mode. Oh, yeah. and then apple pie. But if you give me a good mixed berry pie,
Yeah. It has to be good, though.
that's right below cherry. So like a berry pie. Now all I'm thinking about is pie. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Pie. Welcome to Three
Pie
Pies.
Gamer Pie.
This is the Pie Show.
I just don't know. I'm just like actually trying to think of how I can get you a slice of apple pie with cheddar on it.
I'll make an apple pie. I make an apple pie every year.
So you want me to just like mail you a slice of
I
cheddar?
can go buy sharp cheddar. I love sharp cheddar.
So this guy
You
just
might kind of have
bragging.
to wrap it up in there, kind of like when you feed a dog a pill.
Yeah, that's
Like-
kind of what I'm wondering. That's what I was sitting. He's like, do I need to get a pill pocket for this apple pie? I guess I could.
Do I want to ruin a slice? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'll be like. Peterson, try this pie, and you'll be like, oh, this looks like a good apple pie. You'll take one bite, and I'll have slipped the cheese under the cover on the top,
Oh my gosh.
and you're like, what the fuck?
This tastes a little gross.
I guess the podcast
Why is
and
it
this
rotten?
friendship is over. Maybe that's your problem. You're eating rotten cheese. What time is it? Do we have time for this next one?
Let's see. We're at 125.
No. We were gonna do some family topic changers. If things get a little political or something, you're like, let's not do this.
Just tell them the plot of Death Stranding.
Yep, that's a good one.
Just do that.
You can mention that there was a gamer girl that made $30 a bottle of selling bathwater to her fans. That is guaranteed to derail any conversation, no matter how Trumpy it gets. Like, you could have someone screaming about abortion rights, and you're like, oh, there was this bathwater girl who sold her bathwater. And they're like, wait a sec, we need to actually reshift the conversation because that is the priority.
This is the wrong approach, guys. You, much like Danny, you need to lean into this. You need dinner to get over sooner so you can game earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to lean into it. Bring up the China ban, the China
Hearthstone.
Yeah, the Hong Kong
Oh
thing.
no,
Or-
not you
no,
could
not
bring
that
up that one. I was thinking the curfew, the China's gaming curfew
perfect.
that they put up for
I
kids.
haven't
Perfect.
heard about this.
Oh, you definitely have a racist old person at that table.
Your uncle will be ranting about video games for the next 30 minutes.
Oh, it'll be great, and like they'll
Perfect.
just lean into it. Someone will be racist, someone won't, and it'll just get real.
Oh, it
crazy.
has everything because
Or
there's a
unionization
different-
of the gaming industry.
Yeah.
lean in.
You know, people have opinions on unions.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
Oh, it's
Yeah.
great. Oh, that's really good.
lean in.
So you're
get
saying
dinner
instead
over
of
with.
like trying to climb your way out of the abyss, you are steering into the
Hoping you come out the
depths.
other side.
Who knows
Like,
what's down there, but
through
you're
the
going to
door.
find it.
throw a grenade in there. Okay, finish your pie, no cheese,
Extra cheese.
and then you walk away with your
Find more
Switch,
cheese.
and you go play Switch in your room.
After you've started these grenades.
Yeah.
Oh.
They
Just
will
watch 'em
forget you were there.
That's a good one. Okay, well, if you need to get out, you've always got video games.
Dice of Destiny.
Okay, Dice of Destiny is this game we play at the end of every episode. We roll a 20-sided dice that has 20 different game genres on it, and we roll to see what genre we're going to play. We roll a 6-sided dice to see how much money we can spend, and finally we roll a 6-sided dice to see who has to pick a game in that genre for that price, play it, and review it. And so I recently last week, I rolled a 2D game
No,
for...
2D.
2D shooty.
Yeah,
I picked a 2D shooty. A 2D shooty game for under some amount.
under 60. So it's like any game.
Like any
Yeah.
game ever. And I picked FTL Faster Than Light, which is a top-down... I know very little about it, so this will probably get amended later, but it's a top-down game in which you control a spaceship and all the aspects of it. So if you're being attacked from one side, I guess you would like make sure to strengthen that side and then shoot whatever's trying to kill you. It's kind of got roguelike elements from what I understand. Have you played this, Dani?
I played a little bit of it, yeah.
Okay, so stop me if I'm saying anything egregiously wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, it just sounds like kind of a managing a spaceship from the top down. The reviews of it are astonishing. Like people
love it.
Love
Yeah.
this game. And so if Binding of Isaac's taught me anything, you can't go wrong with a very popular game that's a little weird.
Before we end it, though, I wanted to ask Dani, because Dani is in a video game program, a gaming program.
Yeah.
What are you guys working on? Because it sounds super interesting.
Sure.
And tell us to the theme of the Thanksgiving. No, I'll actually turn this off. We'll revisit this. Don't worry.
So I'm actually working on a game codenamed Strange Creatures right now. It is a 4-player co-op puzzle game, so split stream co-op.
Love that.
You play as one of 4 strange little animals, each with their own abilities. You're trying to escape from a lab. We took a lot of the inspirations from like Human Fall Flat, Portal, the kind of games where you have to cooperate with each other to try and solve simple puzzles. But our characters are so much fun, you guys. We've got a cat that can stretch and turn its body into a bridge. Just like think of a really long cat.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a bulldog that can eat people and spit them back up. They can
Throw them back
yeah,
up.
throw them back up. She can eat anything, so she can run around the lab and just eat everything. And then we actually made her because I was playtesting, and you're supposed to get over this gap, and I didn't do it right. Instead of like jumping up and stretching over and kind of just like slingshotting myself over the gap, I took the eating character and I sat in front of a conveyor belt for like 5 minutes just eating boxes, and then I just threw up and filled up the gap and walked over it.
Oh my god.
Oh, she's a great character. We've also got a climber, and we have a turtle that spins like a hockey puck. So yeah, all of the characters can interact with each other, solve puzzles. It is so much fun right now.
Okay, what's it going to be on and when?
So the goal is Nintendo Switch. We have our application in. We are waiting to hear back.
Have you ever worked on a Switch game before?
No, it's first time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can make it. We're also looking at other consoles, Steam. We're looking at PlayStation, Xbox. We have applications across the board everywhere.
Do you have an ETA?
We're going to try and be done by March.
Shut up.
Yeah, so we're coming close to our alpha. We have a playtest up at the EAE program next week. Actually, December 6th, we're going to be having our games in their alpha playtest for the first time.
So
Wow.
Yeah,
cool.
So people can come up and play any games there. We have I'm a master's student, so we have my thesis teams are up there, but then also prototypes from the cohort underneath us in their first year, and capstone, which is the undergrad thesis.
So cool. So right now it's called
Strange Creatures.
Strange Creatures, but the name could change.
It could change.
release.
We do have our company though. So
Cyber creatures. Come on.
Come on.
Just phone it in.
Oh no, Elon Musk cannot have this one. I will not give it to him.
Pocket creatures.
Pocket monsters?
Poketures.
Yeah. Have you played a game called Whiplash? Have you ever heard of a game
Yes,
called...
actually, that's on our inspiration list.
Perfect. I was just going to tell you about it because I remember playing this game as a kid and it sounded a lot like yours. This was you played as a weasel and you were chained to a rabbit and you were trying to escape an animal lab, but the rabbit's indestructible because that was like what they tested on him. So you just wield this rabbit. He does whatever. You just smack him against stuff. You do whatever. You use him to like swing on things. It's so...
Yeah, that's basically the
You're
kind of
making
we're
a
going for.
better Whiplash because that game kind of did suck, but
It's been a blast so far.
that's so cool.
You can actually follow a lot of our progress. We do Twitch stream our dev diaries.
cool.
Yeah, our company is called Cat and Fiddle Games.
Cat and Fiddle.
Yep, Cat and Fiddle Games. So you
Okay.
can find us on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We're on all of them.
And we'll link out to that this week. So
Yay.
if you check us out on Facebook and Twitter, we will give you a link.
I still can't get used
The
to
gobble.
It's incredible.
This is the music from
Thanksgilling.
it.
This is
Thanksgiving theme song right here.
This is your Thanksgiving. These guys are like, is there Thanksgiving music? And it's between this and a Mary Chapin Carpenter
And this
song.
one's way better.
Yeah.
So it's
Please play
one.
this as people walk into your home.
Oh, just play it during the football game. You don't need the audio from that. All right, guys. So make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll post links to that, to Dani's game and her company, so you can watch it there develop. It's hard to focus. I'm
That
sorry.
gobble sound is
gobble.
amazing.
Kills me. I guess that's it. I'm JD logging off.
This is Peterson going AFK.
And Dani Powers, BRB.
Peterson Productions. Oh yeah.